When governments want mass silence, they do not request it. They enforce it. They cut fiber lines, disable towers, and plunge a nation into total digital darkness. For decades, the rule was simple: control the ground, control the signal, until the signal left the ground. In January 2026, as protests spread across Iran, the government imposed one of the most sweeping internet blackouts in its history. Screens went dark. Messages froze. Families lost contact. Traditional networks collapsed. But one system proved harder to suppress: Starlink, the satellite network built by SpaceX, designed to beam connectivity from orbit, beyond terrestrial control. Henceforth, the strategy changed. If the cables could not be cut, the sky would be contested. Iran launched a coordinated electronic jamming campaign against the satellite signals themselves. What followed was not just a blackout. It was a battle for the electromagnetic spectrum. This is the tale of how Iran tried to silence the sky, and what that fight reveals about the future of global space chess power. To understand how it was disrupted, we first need to understand how it works. Unlike the traditional internet, built on buried fiber optic cables and fixed infrastructure, Starlink relies on thousands of small satellites orbiting just 340 to 570 kilometers above Earth. Because they operate so close to the surface, signals travel a much shorter distance. The result? Lower latency, faster speeds, and a connection that feels almost instant. On the ground, users install compact satellite terminals. These dishes automatically track satellites as they move across the sky, seamlessly handing the signal from one satellite to the next. The transition is continuous, invisible to the user. But this system depends on two critical elements. First, precise GPS positioning. The terminal must know exactly where it is to stay aligned with satellites racing overhead. Second, stable radio frequency communication in the Ku and Ka bands, tightly regulated slices of the electromagnetic spectrum that require clean, uninterrupted signal paths. This architecture enables internet access far beyond government-controlled networks, especially during mass protest or war. Yet the same technical strengths that make it powerful also create vulnerabilities, especially when challenged by strategic rivals like Iran, as we will see next. During the January 2026 unrest, Iranian authorities imposed a sweeping communications shutdown. But reports suggested that thousands of Starlink terminals had entered the country through informal channels. Iran's response was layered and deliberate. It began with radio frequency jamming. Ground-based transmitters broadcast powerful noise on the same frequencies Starlink terminals used to communicate with satellites. Instead of sending meaningful data, these devices flooded the spectrum with interference. The result wasn't a dramatic explosion of failure, it was degradation. Packets were lost. Signals weakened. Connections became unstable, and the Iranian regime regained full control of the situation, proving its power projection against the West. The second layer was GPS spoofing. Starlink terminals depend on precise GPS signals to determine their location and correctly orient their antennas. Reports suggest Iranian systems transmitted stronger, falsified GPS signals, effectively tricking the terminals into believing they were somewhere else. When a dish thinks it's mislocated, it points in the wrong direction. And when it points wrong, the satellite link collapses. By combining RF jamming with GPS spoofing, the disruption became far more effective. Packet loss reportedly surged, especially in dense urban areas. This wasn't improvised interference. Credible indications point to advanced electronic warfare platforms, potentially including Russian origin systems linked to the Krasuka family and the Kalinka electronic warfare system, often referred to as a Starlink killer, built for wide-area spectrum dominance and capable of disrupting satellite and radar signals at scale. Finally, the crackdown left the digital realm and hit the ground. Terminals were seized. Ownership became a crime. Users faced severe penalties. This wasn't just signal interference, it was a full-spectrum suppression campaign, technical, legal, and physical. But electronic warfare never operates in isolation. A spike in GPS disruption and abnormal satellite traffic are common signals military planners watch closely. In tense moments, they can indicate readiness or intent. Electronic warfare lives in the gray zone, sharper than diplomacy, short of open conflict. By jamming Starlink, Iran didn't just disrupt internet access. It reshaped the informational battlefield in future warfare and strategic military planning, thus proving why it must not be underrated in the global geopolitical landscape. The lesson is clear. Satellite internet is powerful. It is resilient, but it is not immune. And in the evolving struggle between connectivity and control, the sky is no longer a sanctuary. It is the next battlefield, almost like in Star Wars. Thanks for watching, and remember to share, like, comment, and subscribe to support the algorithm. Catch you in the next video.